Today we're going to be reviewing the SIG 556 Classic. The SIG 556 Classic is the more modern version of the traditional SIG 556 rifle that has been used by the Swiss military for a number of years. The American variant, of course, allows for the use of standard AR-15 type magazines within this platform, which makes it a lot more attractive. This is also in many respects referred to as kind of the AK-47 of the AR-15 platforms, largely because it uses a piston impingement system here for the blowback instead of the direct gas system that you would see in an AR-15 platform. It's all contained within the rifle as well, so there's no piston or spring in the back of the rifle either. So the back of the rifle literally is just a stock and nothing more. The stock itself is adjustable. You depress the switch, it goes in and out. You can also roll the stock up or fold it into the rifle as well, simply by pushing that button and swinging it forward, and then it has a catch here where it will be able to keep the stock forward so that you can have a much more compact rifle when need be. Looking at some of the other features of the rifle, standard pistol grip with a swing down storage compartment, standard plastic fronts. And then, of course, you have your standard ambidextrous fire safety switch. What you'll notice, however, that I changed on here was I put on a Krebs custom extendable safety switch. And one of the reasons why is the standard switch, as you can see on this other side here, which is what came stock on this side, is actually a switch that's very hard to activate with your thumb alone. Therefore, I needed that extendability to be able to do that, and it's a great aftermarket option to include within the rifle. Also have the standard mag release forms and bolt catches, and then your trigger. Now, one of the things I really like about this rifle is the trigger. It's a stock trigger, and you'll notice if you look closely, there is a screw down here that screws in and out that basically sets the amount of trigger pull that you want the rifle to be able to activate on. So for example, if I charge the actual rifle and I pull the trigger, it doesn't actually push the trigger until it actually pushes in on that little screw and bolt there within the trigger. And the trigger pull is very smooth and very light as well. It has standard upper-lower type configurations you are typically familiar with on an AR-15 platform. There are two push pins that you can activate to actually open or swing open the actual upper and lower. In this case, for example, one of the main differences you can see here is there's no charge handle. This is the charging handle is actually part of the bolt, and it holds the bolt assembly to the gas assembly. So when you push down on this little lever right here, you can then pull this out, which allows you to remove the bolt out of the back of the rifle for cleaning. And you can also see where it latches in here to the actual gas system. So when you reignite or reunite these two options, you just simply push down and insert the actual bolt carrier, and now they're connected. Push down the bolt or the safety pin, and now your upper and lower are complete. Another thing to keep in mind with the SIG 556 Classic is the serialization of the rifle is the exact opposite of what an AR-15 is. AR-15s typically are serialized on the lower, not the upper. Therefore, you have to buy and get checks on the lower, but then you can buy as many uppers as you wish from wherever you want. It's completely different on this rifle. They are serializing the uppers on these rifles. So when you buy the actual upper, that's what you get checked on. The lowers you can buy anywhere you want. So again, keep that in mind. Completely different than what you would typically see on an AR-15 platform. The front stock, again, comfortable to fire. It does slope in. I know there's other variants of this as well. There's a patrol model where it's a little bit farther in, looks more like an AR-15 carbine. And then there, of course, are Picatinny rail options. This option kind of narrows in, and you have the ability to add these little Picatinny rails up here for lights and what have you, but it's not exactly directly parallel with the barrel. So for lighting purposes, it's fine, but anything else beyond that, like a laser or whatever, it would not really work on this type of platform. Moving forward, on your gas block system, you have the ability to quickly adjust the gas block setting right here. Very simple adjustment. You have somewhat of a pencil barrel, profile barrel, and then the rifle typically comes with a A2 flash suppressor. I just changed it out because I'm trying something different on it years ago, and that's what you have. Now, the sights. It has a Picatinny rail system, front fixed sight system, and then some of them have a swivel type, iron sights in the rear, or you'll have what you see here, which is a flip-up sight, a flip-up heat sight to actually go through to the front sight. This is not something I would want to rely on very heavily, especially in a combat type situation. This is just not that strong, but it's certainly there. It's hidden into the Picatinny rail system if you need it. But this system is really designed to run something else, whether it be a red dot or a scope or whatever you want to run through it. One thing you need to keep in mind, however, is that the sight height that runs through the SIG 556 is different than the AR-15 platform. It's a different height. So if you try to run, for example, a Magpul backup flip sight, the actual sight, the default height of that is going to be off compared to the front of the rifle. So you don't want to use traditional AR-15 type backup sights and expect them to be in general the sight range of these front fixed sights. Because of that, you're also going to need to be careful if you run, for example, a red dot for a typical AR-15 platform. A lot of times people, like me, will co-witness them so that my iron sights are set and I can just line up the dot and move it in and off the rifle. In this case, because of the sight alignment, a lot of those red dots will not be, by default, aligned properly with your sight picture here, so you'll be losing that as well with the rifle. All right, so these are the main features and functionality of this rifle itself. Now let's go into some accuracy with the rifle. So the first group I fired was some 5.56 loads. Now I had a little bit of crosswind this day when I fired these. I don't know what was going on with my 55 grain groups. They just weren't that good. I was sighted in with a different load, and of course these are some of the options I had here. PMC Bronze 55 grain, about a 2.5 inch group. American Eagle XM 855 is terrible. It's terrible with every AR I fire. I just can't seem to make that round one work with anything that I shoot. Herder's Brass 55 grain, 3 MOA. The best group I had with the 55 grain loads was, ironically, was Norma TAC 223. Now it went off the target, but when I actually circled where it was in the target, it was about a 1 MOA. So it wasn't a bad group. Now to some of my better and heavier loads that I fired, the CBC 556 M193, about a little over 3 MOA. Hornady 75 grain match, Bowtail Hollow Point, about 2 MOA. Hornady Spear 55 grain, about 1.5 MOA. And then my two best performing loads are traditionally my Federal Premiums, my 69 77 grain. These are just the most premium bullets I can buy in the market, and both of them were firing about a 2 MOA. And when you compare that, for example, to a M&P Sport, where I have fired these same type of loads out of an M&P Sport 2. I've typically got anywhere from about a 1.5 to 1 MOA. Out of the same loads, I'm getting about a 2 MOA out of here. So is it any more accurate or any less accurate than a standard Smith & Wesson M&P 2? It's a little less accurate from what I'm getting through my testing. I also have another video on this topic as well on the channel if you want to watch that about the M&P Sport 2. But the best groups I'm typically getting are around anywhere from a 1 to 2 MOA, with my better loads really not performing better than I would have hoped them to perform. So what about the applications of this rifle? Who would want to buy them? Well, SIG now has newer versions of their semi-automatic rifles out. This is a more traditional model they have out there. You're going to see people shooting these occasionally. It's just something different. If you're kind of tired of the old AR-15 platform and want to try something new, this is a great variant to do that. A lot of the weight of the rifle is actually more forward on this system as well. If you're kind of one of those people that want the reliability of an AK-47 type platform and a AR-15, again, this might appeal to you because this is kind of how the system is designed to operate and work for you. And it's actually really well built. It's a Smith built, or it's a Swiss built gun, and the Swiss are known for engineering really good pieces. So in this case, this is the Smith 556 Classic. I recommend it, especially if you want an alternative to an AR-15 platform. You can still find these; they are on the market. I still, have a couple of these myself, and I still fire them occasionally. It's just a different operation than an AR-15. Try one if you like them. Always a good alternative. If you like our channel, please like us on YouTube, and thanks for watching.